Friday Night Movie family with the most anticipated interview of the weekend. Because we have with us, this is the only, we talked about asking Jodie Benson, the former Little Mermaid. We talked about reaching out to John Leguizamo in advance. But the only interview we knew we had to book in advance.
I can tell you, it was a big draw for me to come back this year.
Yeah. Is Chris Miskiewicz and Vincent Kings.
If I may.
Ringo
Award winning artist, Vincent King.
Vincent Kings.
It's going to go in front of all my name forever now.
It's pretty amazing.
True.
It's pretty cool. And also nominated. Let's not forget, you guys had a truckload of nominations for some
This guy
awesomely
was tied
written stuff.
for most nominations.
Oh wow, that's awesome. You're like Titanic.
That was a weird big. Yeah, I think three writers had three. It was it was James Tynion and.
No, it was just James Tynion and you.
No, there's someone else.
And so people understand, and we've said this.
Maybe it was me.
These are the Oscars of awards in the comic book industry. This is a big deal, and it's very cool. That's it for the rest of your life. You are Ringo Award-winning artist.
Vincent Kings, illustrator of This Is Where We Fall, Time Dog, and Human Porn.
Human porn.
I didn't draw that one.
Writer, if you.
So we're having you guys back, and we want to talk about your books. We want to talk about your writing. We want to talk movies and kind of everything with you.
Let's do it. Yeah.
But we got to start with our mom.
Start with our mom. As all of our best episodes begin.
We want you to
with
have
a
a
story
best
about our mom.
episode. It's got to start with our mom.
So our parents are in New York this weekend, and and they decided to go. I guess they got tickets to go see The Music Man.
Yeah, and who's starring in The Music Man, Becky?
That would be Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Now,
One and only. Our mother's heartthrob, if you will.
After the fall of Mel Gibson, another Australian needed to pull ahead.
But I would say he was definitely from the moment he came onto the scene, he was her number two. But you're right. Then he pulled ahead.
Yeah. A while ago.
I mean,
it's
this
not a
woman,
recent.
she adores him. So they go see this show. They're sending us videos of the show,
Which they're not supposed to be taking. So we're watching The Music Man in my mom's pocketbook.
The bootleg Music Man.
He's so handsome and charming.
Do you know he can sing and dance?
Wow.
And I don't really know what exactly happened. It seems there was some sort of charity auction that
At the end of the
at the end
of the show, he came out. He's in his Music Man pantaloons, and he starts talking to the audience and talking about a cause. I don't know what it was, admittedly, but my parents got to bid on it, I guess.
Oh no shit.
or donate to it or something.
Donate to it, but it was a charity thing. It was a charity.
And it seems that in addition to getting some sort of signed poster and whatnot, my mom also got to
Oh man. Oh, this is great.
meet and shake hands with. And there's actually a video where he kisses her hand at one
But
point.
because his face is covered, we're not 100% sure if it is him or if you zipped up to New York last night and were his stand-in for the meet and greet.
And did you secretly meet our mom? Oh, and that's him with both my parents.
Or is it?
Or is it you?
I can attest that I was busy trembling next to Vincent at the Ringo Awards last evening. I was at the ceremony, and
So you have a good alibi.
I have a decent alibi.
But our mother
unless that was him.
Right. That's what I'm...
Dun, dun, dun.
So...
No.
So, how should we process as a family our mother now, having met the legend that is Hugh Jackman? We know you know him. We know you've worked with him.
Anyone who doesn't know, I for a number of years did technical acting, stand-in work, things like that, and film and TV shows. And I got really lucky and did that gig for him on The Greatest Showman. and then a film called Bad Education, which followed that on HBO. And I loved both. Just the spectacle of working on The Greatest Showman was just huge. I mean, what you saw was what we were doing, and
That's amazing.
It was just this gigantic 300, 250 background, and a freezing night, and we even had a fire, sadly, one night where the set burned down.
Oh my
and
God.
it's like 3 a.m. on a dock.
And he was probably a gentleman at every minute of it.
He's one of the. You could listen to anyone ever say it. He's truly like the most professional, nicest, kindest human you could ever have the pleasure to meet. And I happen to have. Been doing that when Logan had come out, and so I mean, he knew. I was very clear. I'm like, hey, I'm an aspiring writer. I do this thing, this tech acting thing. I got a photographic memory. Here we go, and we're just. It's showing. He comes back. It's Wolverine. He's doing Logan, the press tour too. I'm like, he's dressed as Barnum, talking about Wolverine. It was a lovely experience. I don't know how that happened or how anyone could get that kind of strange, like, oh, it's Wolverine dressed as Barnum talking about Wolverine. Like he was just a lovely guy. So yeah, that looks like him.
Okay,
And
we
your mom-
have verified authenticity. We'll take it to the CBS, whatever those guys are, the grading guys.
Yeah.
We'll get the picture graded.
Yeah, your mom will probably be talking about this forever. My mom met him for 5 minutes at a meet and greet, and literally for like a year and a half, she was like, he was so nice. Oh my, he's very charming. I see exactly why you said such nice things about him.
You tell me Hugh Jackman's really popular with moms, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's got the mom market.
I
going.
guess that's,
And you know what?
they-
I'm a mom, and he's just as popular.
Doing it for you?
that's really fun.
All right, Vincent, award-winning Vincent Kings.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I love this.
Yes, please use his full title.
First of all, it's been. You came on the show last year, and it was delightful to have you. However much time we said we'd let you go after, you stayed longer, which was amazing. But now,
now we want you to go.
No, a year later. So the first thing I know you from is Time Dog. Well, I mean, there's your collaboration together, but then there's Time Dog. Now,
baby.
And we have with us an incredible
Are your hands clean?
Oh,
Baltimore Comic. Is this a Baltimore Comic Con exclusive?
We-
You're
be
treating
clear,
it. Go ahead.
This is mine, and I'm gonna let you hold it.
okay. I got to put it up to the camera.
There are things going on, folks.
No, that's because my whole
This
life, Shai wouldn't
is-
even let me breathe near any of his.
That's true. My comics. I
and
was
now
like,
this is something that's
this
special
is
to
how
me.
like
This is how you-
Brody in Mallrats. This is how you read a comic.
Do not bend the spine.
I
Do
had
not
that.
crease the page.
I had that really
Do
early
not
on.
draw on the cover.
So, Time Dog is a mix of philosophy and humor and beautiful art, and now we have
And
an
adventure.
ash can, which I've told Becky is a big deal to have the ash can of something that could one day be,
Even you
Very
know what?
soon it will
It's
be a
special to
thing.
me right now. It doesn't matter what one day, what will or may happen. Right now, it's special to me.
And I think it's going to be really special in November. And with that lead in, then
Take it away.
Oh gosh. Okay. I am launching a crowdfunding campaign for Time Dog on Zoop, the comic-specific crowdfunding platform.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Tell us what it's going to go towards. What's the
Sure. So it's the strips you've got, but fully colored. I haven't done them all in colored yet. In color yet. I'm tying it all together because it's been sort of separate individual strips until now, and I finally figured out how to tie it all together into a book. And
Are you
hardcover.
creating some new things
Yeah.
to connect them? Okay,
Yeah.
that's very cool. All right, so there's going to be new stuff.
Yeah. New ending.
Ooh.
Still working on that. It's not done yet, but
Oh,
yeah.
endings are really hard.
Yeah.
And so your subscribers, we are subscribers to the Time Dogs emails.
Yes,
they're just the beginning of something else.
Okay. What comes next?
No, just endings.
Oh, they're just, I'm like Time Dog the movie.
No,
Time Dog the Time Dog.
Yeah,
actually.
rock on.
People- time.
It is going to be enamel pins. I know it's like a very small extra step. Dude, there's so many things I wanted to have at this convention, and none of them arrived on time.
Oh,
Like,
supply chain. Blame the pandemic.
Yeah, I'll blame that. But it might also be that I was just super last minute doing too much. But that ash can, I literally like printed out, I prepped for print a bunch of color ash cans that were going to be all the weird short stories and backup stuff I want to put in the book. And then they just didn't arrive in time. Like, they're going to be here tomorrow. They're going to arrive at the hotel tomorrow after we've left. It's a nightmare. So on the day we arrived, I was like, all right, I gotta have something. I gotta have time. I have no time dogs, and that's the thing I'm here to promote. So I called up local Baltimore printers and was just like, how much for 25 copies, black and white? Oh my God, $300? No. And then I called the next one and finally found somebody who could like rush it out that day, and that's what you're holding.
Wow.
It's
Well,
a
it looks
true
great.
last
So
minute
What
con
is
ash can.
what is,
Yeah.
by the way, an ash can? I was trying to tell Becky how special this is. It's like getting your hands on a print of a film before the special effects have been fully finished.
It's
Short
the-
run.
Yeah, it's a short run. It's the like messy Xerox thing to show it. Look, I'm working on a thing.
Yeah.
It's not done yet. It's a work in progress. You can see like there's pages in there that I'm totally gonna re-letter and rejigger, but yeah, you get to see the process a little bit, and that's kind of how this whole thing has been. Because I was really resistant to Time Dog having a definite ending, because to me, kind of the fun of it is it's disjointed and it's time travel.
Well, it's
like,
a dog traveling back in time and sniffing his own butt.
Right.
That
I mean,
is.
the
you don't
greatest-
overthink it, right?
Greatest strip.
It's a loop. It's gonna keep going. It's amazing.
But
there we go.
But it is. I mean, we joke about that, but it's actually like very beautiful and philosophical.
It is.
And
Thank you. I wanted it to sort of feel, you know, how Calvin and Hobbes ends, right? They sort of hop on a sleigh and they're like, all right, time to go adventuring. Like, I just always wanted that vibe to it. But of course, you finally realize it's a book. There is a cliffhanger. There's a villain. There will be a climactic thing in it. I won't give too much away, but yeah, you gotta finally sort of realize, okay, if people want a book, you gotta give them an ending. There's gotta be a reason that this one is bound in a hardcover and you put on your shelf and
so,
complete
Yeah, man.
statement.
in talking to both of you, and especially Vincent right now, the joy and elation you have working on this stuff, this is why you're the fan favorite.
yeah.
You're so fun.
Well,
I mean,
thanks.
it's just so authentic and awesome how much you love creating. It's amazing.
I love drawing comics, man.
That-
That's all it is.
That's amazing. Now, Chris.
Yes.
We're gonna get very serious.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
Don't
mean,
know
we
what
might
are we
be,
talking
but
about.
you all have a book circulating here that is part of Bound for Failure, BFF, your new studio, your production that you're creating, and it's called Dark Blue Skies.
The Dark Blues.
No, the Dark Blues.
Mhm.
I don't know why I said Dark Blue Skies, because I feel like there's a sky kind of element in
The
that first
sky
episode.
is blue.
But well, no,
Dude.
the thing
Bro.
there is an explosion at an airplane terminal in the first
Oh, yeah, okay.
thing. That's why
and
my
it like comes down from like
the
sky.
the sky,
The
bro.
sky is the
Dude.
central character.
Drawing
extremely-
very-
The gravity is like holding us all down.
it's
We can keep going. Jay.
it's gritty. It feels like you're being dropped into a film or a prestige TV show, right? Like it feels like that. The panels are so cinematic. The opening amount of cursing from the main character as he is struggling with, I think it's like I'm like not a great reader, but it's his struggling with his drug addiction in that moment. Maybe.
And
We
just
don't really
being
know.
an asshole.
Yeah, but it's like this explosive opening of a human, and then a few pages later, like an absolute explosion, decimation, unexplained of an entire airport terminal. And then there's some.
And then he
Some
turns to the
supernatural
camera and
power.
says, "Only on HBO." I said, "Fuck a lot."
So you created that together. That's the next project.
One of.
One of. Okay.
No,
All
yeah.
right.
All right.
We've had that. We put that together. The script is finished, and we're moving on with it as we're moving on with it. But we figured we may as well print it out, not an ash can, but a fully formed, 100 issues for this. For
Full color.
So a limited run full can.
For this, it's
Full
it's a
can.
preview. It is very TV feeling. It's a gritty crime, shitty cop with superpowers, the worst person who could ever get something. But yeah, it's not what you think. I actually, it was really cool to hear your description of it. Not many people have seen it outside of people who've taken it. So it's interesting. Interesting to hear. Interesting to hear.
Well, I mean, I also haven't. I don't know where it's going, so I'm
Right.
just giving you my.
Yeah.
Is that helpful or is it like hurtful? Like, am I
No,
like
no,
if I
it's
got it
awesome.
wrong?
Yeah.
Do you feel as a writer like I blew it?
No, I'm always
Oh.
like, ooh, good, ooh, interesting.
okay, cool.
Ooh, that's what you. Oh, you think that? Sometimes it's like good. Or and then there's other times I go.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
But, okay,
All
cool.
right, that's what.
Because
you
I would be
should
anxious as a writer if like I gave it to like I made my thing and then they're like, oh, this is what it feels like it's about, and I might be like, oh no, did I miss the target?
You
Well-
didn't realize it's going to become a musical?
Yeah.
No,
It's going to break into song. Oh, to be a bad cop.
And when we cross it with Time Dog, it's
The shared.
Gets
So,
really
but
wild.
that's cool. I'm glad it's exciting to see a writer relish the mystery that people. It's like an REM song. You're like you're not really sure yet. what
to
it is.
backtrack a little. When I did Thomas Alsop at Boom in 2015, 16, 2014, 15. There was a really fine line we were running on that series the whole time where like if we got that wrong it would have been very disrespectful due to the 9/11 plot point to it. If we didn't, it ends up being a survivor's guilt story and all of that, and I was petrified reading all the press at the time, but at the same time I was kind of relishing how you could tell they were wanting it to go somewhere or wouldn't or maybe jump on it, see if we fucked it up, but we didn't. And then there's a twist within a twist in that one, and I really enjoyed it. Like I got off on that. Like I got off on people going like, "Holy shit, we thought it was this, but it was this." So
He likes pushing buttons.
yeah, I mean, this is a very triggering story. It was something I came up with during everything that was going on in the country when we were tearing ourselves apart a couple of years ago, and it was just interesting maybe to. It's not my political. Yeah, it's interesting to push a button, right? All of our buttons were pushed. It was topical at the time to type it. We were all kind of living through it, and it was like, what if we did a story? But I mean, it's not outrageous to write a cop story, but what if we did a really unique?
Outrageous.
It's like the
cops.
Bad
Yeah.
Lieutenant meets the Flash on a certain level.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Because I just think of that like at
Yeah.
least the Flash TV show with the
yeah.
Star Labs like explosion and all
There's
that.
a little Walter White in it. I'm curious to see what happens. We're pitching it around, but yeah, we put it out under the creative studio that I'm now gonna kind of. I don't know what that exactly means either, but that I'm kind of putting things out through packaging, whatever the hell.
We do have stickers.
We have stickers.
Yeah, we have.
It's
I have
very
one,
serious.
but I would love
Nice
another one.
sticker. I don't have a sticker.
Oh, here's a sticker.
This is an
Texas.
ash can
There you go.
sticker.
There you
No, this is a full can.
I
This
really
is a full can
love
sticker.
the
go. Leave them all there.
name, and I'm
Oh
assuming.
yeah, we'll keep him here. Absolutely.
I'm assuming you created the logo yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Fair.
Chris being like, oh, I have an idea.
Which actually is. I have a question. How does the collaboration between you two work?
I have an idea.
you-
Draw it.
That's it. That's it. And you go, no.
Well, look,
Please.
I've been in a
smoked a bullet. I'm gonna make a company.
So I've been in a creative partnership writing songs. Look, I was out in LA a couple weeks ago, had a bunch of drinks with an old friend. The next morning, I told my wife and my sisters I may have bought an apartment in the metaverse.
Oh no! I'm so sorry. Is it next to Zuckerberg's Eiffel Tower? Is it prime real estate?
I bet now I could get some. I don't know. So okay, but I have a musical partner. We've been working together for 25 years, and there's different things he can do everything. He's amazing, but there are things that like he can do that I can do, and then we bring it together, and there's like an unspoken language or a spoken language of interpretation, and something comes out of that. What's your creative language with each other like? Is it like we talk on the phone, like we do all of our writing since we were teenagers on the phone.
Yeah.
But that's also because you grew up in the 90s. So you had to talk on the phone.
Right.
As
We're in different
teenagers.
neighborhoods. But
Yes, you had to, exactly.
Some truth to that.
Yeah.
but what's your lab like?
I think we text when we're working.
We text more.
And if we
than
need to
anything.
argue, we'll call and
Yeah.
hash it out.
There's a lot of distance, like the actual distance between our locations. So it's the hours that we keep when we're in contact are stupid too. Like we're on Vin having smoked 3 bowls and going like, hey, look what I just drew at 1:30 a.m. over
You're
there.
overstating my concept.
That's actually true.
I'm a night owl all
but
the
it's
time.
projecting.
It's
But-
part
yeah.
of the process.
The point is we
That's it.
it works. We keep in contact through text or emails on what we're doing, and then there's usually every couple of weeks or so there's the call that goes for like 17 hours, and then it's like and then it's been an interesting.
Yeah, on this is where we follow specifically. It got to the point where I wouldn't even write anything. I just send him a photo, like just pull out my phone, and be like, this. And he'd be like, no, or like, yeah, sick, keep going.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
it's
So
super,
as
like,
you're
thumbs up.
doing drawings, Vince is doing drawing, Chris, you're giving
Yeah.
feedback in
Yeah,
real time.
Yeah. The script, the way I script write, my whatever my conception of what the shot would be is in there. I'll put in close up, reverse shot.
Oh, got it.
I put in normal terminology that you would do in like a film script, right? But
Right.
broken through page and panels and blah 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 blah. And after that, that's what I thought. That when you're doing this with anyone, it immediately becomes the 50-50 there. And if it's not like, no, I was thinking more like this would be about the most I'd ever thrown at you, or no, that should be bigger, or I saw it this way. And sometimes it works. Other times he's like, no, you don't understand. We need to put toilets on the shoulder of the robot. That's it.
I got that. I won that.
Yeah,
argument.
no, it wasn't even an argument. I was like, yeah, do it. There was
Oh yeah, that's way better. Yeah,
the robot needs toilets on its shoulder.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you the script beat that I was solving for
Yes.
with the toilet?
Yeah.
We've got a scene where the garbage man maintenance worker walks into like a sci-fi hangar and sees a robot and is like, I bet I can drive that. And I like in my visual mind, I'm like, what about the robot tells him that one he can drive? And I'm like, well, we put toilets on the shoulders. It's like, Looney Tunes logic. Like,
That's great.
But
he
in
knows
a,
toilets,
but
so I
like
bet
in
he
a,
knows
in
that
a
robot.
in a crazy, surreal, cyber,
But I love that. I was gonna ask about some of your. How do you work through arguments, moments of tensions, things where maybe you're not seeing each other's vision?
It's really easy if it's just about the work. If you have
Okay.
personal problems with someone, you will continue to have those problems. But we can argue like cats and dogs over the work.
Yeah, it's not.
But I get along with this guy.
I fucking love this guy. I don't
So
care.
I'll be
what-
like, your
I mean,
idea is stupid.
Yeah.
It's because I care about this being a good comedy.
Yeah,
you
he's
know what I
been-
mean? It's like it's very separate.
Yeah, I
just-
started-
Not
you're
everyone
focused
is-
on the mission, on the direction.
Yeah,
Not
and
everyone's
I
able to make that separation between the work and themselves.
You got to
personally.
get your ego out of it a little bit.
You
You're
gotta
part
get-
of a band,
or
you know?
That's I was just gonna say that, like, to put it into like 90s terms, man. It's just really like being in a band, especially you're doing a creative thing. What does that mean? We can't. The moment something we do is out there on the stands, you can't separate. No, I wrote the script. Yeah, but he drew the toilets on the shoulders. Right? You can't separate that if you ever were gonna like make it into something else post that. Like, it's immediately a joint IP. We are the creators.
That's amazing. Bob Dylan was once asked, what comes first, the words or the music? And his answer was something to the effect of, I don't know, they just always come together.
Sure.
And I think
Sure.
that's what
Sure.
you're talking about
Sure.
here. I always love that.
Yeah, sure.
So, talk about scripts.
Yeah, sure.
We love movies and TV.
Yeah, good segue.
What?
Good segue.
Yeah,
Well done.
I know.
It's almost like you've done this before. Here we go.
350 times, 348 times.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
true?
My
Is that
sisters
true? Is that
love.
what you're up to?
We have 350 episodes, but Shai has been absent for 2 of them, where Lily and I hosted on our own. So I was trolling him this morning, and he's saying, "We have 350 episodes." And I go, "Oh well, we do, but you only have 348."
Oh, this is hot.
So-
So you could only kind of
You can't.
celebrate.
You can just say you have 348 episodes.
In fairness, I had influenza, but Becky had emergency C-section
Oh.
after an episode and was back on the next week's episode.
So it was like I recorded, had
Becky's
my
a
emergency
titan.
C a couple days
Yeah.
later, and then a couple days after that.
You're the Ginger Rogers backwards and heels.
I've heard this many a time. Anything's wrong with me. we just can't handle pain,
You
man.
you don't know what pain is.
Our gender is we are not good with pain.
You ever seen those videos of like the harness they put on men to simulate period cramps?
We're a disaster. We can't.
You see a guy in a cowboy hat just like, oh. Great video.
No, it's like it's just like it can't be done. Like we don't like.
I'm so glad I have a video of Vincent's face.
We're bad at that. Like, and that's because we feel everything so much. Right? That's,
Very
Yeah.
sensitive.
You feel very.
Okay, so
But TVs and
films. Okay,
segue.
so you were saying how you write it, like the way you're putting these together. In a way, they're storyboards, right? I mean, especially I would say nowadays, especially your style of comic book writing. Like I'm reading some '90s Spider-Man right now.
Sure.
I love the '90s Spider-Man, but they're not. It's not cinematic the way it is. I think today, the sort of some of it is
The
McFarlane stuff.
decompression thing, the early 2000s. Anyway, go on.
Anyways, so when you're imagining these things as a whatever you're doing the film kind of thing, what are your references? What are the movies that when you're script writing or when you're drawing, because it feels so cinematic, I feel like there must be some stuff that isn't just art, isn't just comics, that might be seeping in there. Do you either conscious or unconscious? What are the movies or the art or the filmmakers that are seeping into your work?
That's a good question. That's really nice. Learning how to write scripts, I immediately went to. I bought Pulp Fiction, and Taxi Driver,
Wow.
and something else. That's interesting. I might not have read the third thing. That's really interesting. And I read those two scripts, and at the time I was kind of deep into Charles Bukowski. Just because I think everybody has a little Charles Bukowski beat where you kind of and there you just burn through his whole run. So there was this very first person self-referential thing that he does, and those other two scripts of Pulp Fiction and Taxi Driver were just it was just like, that's the most basic way you could do a human story. Beyond that beginning on writing, where you just kind of I was always referencing I or trying to do self. For that, once you burn through that as a typist, and start doing other things. I just kind of immediately, like, back to what I started out as a kid. I was always a big sci-fi fanatic, and things like Star Wars, and just extended universe beats and ideas that could keep unfolding. I don't know, something very personal with something very, ethereal and grand, of the melding of just sort of those two early beginnings when I started setting off what I did.
And Pulp Fiction,
Does that make any
Taxi
sense?
Driver.
I don't know if that makes
Yes,
sense
Pulp
at all.
Fiction and Taxi Driver.
I have no idea if that makes
These
sense.
aren't your
That's a great
hero's
answer.
journey, save the cat things either,
no.
right?
No.
That's got to be like, I'm a New York kid. I grew up in New York. You're on the trains at 16 and stuff like that. I'm sure it's just something of location as well that made me kind of look at those first, maybe.
Yeah.
How about you?
What about you, sir?
Yeah. So I studied animation. So actually, a lot of how I approach comics really comes from studying storyboarding and drawing. Like, my school was run by '90s Disney animators. Like
Sure.
the
Where
guy
did you go to?
LCAD, Laguna College of Art and Design. You probably wouldn't have heard of it, but it's a tiny little, very good school in Laguna Beach, California. And the teachers were '90s Renaissance Disney animators. One of, like, the guy who did Mrs. Potts was like.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so you see those guys, and like they literally are like, here's how you hold the paper. You put a sheet between each hand, and you flip the paper, and you draw, and you have 5 drawings going at once, and then you do the drawing in between that, and you like really learn what it is to like put motions on the page.
Oh, wow.
And like
Wow.
repeat drawings quickly, right?
Is that really how?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
That's
no, you
super
like
cool,
you
yeah.
roll it, you like flip it and roll it. That's
So
what they
funny
call it,
because
yeah.
it's funny because my kids, when they see the old stuff, sometimes some of the animated stuff they love, that's more current, but they'll be like, we like that newer looking, like the CGI kind of stuff, and that's an incredible art as well. But it's not manual the way that is.
Sure.
Also, can I just say how much I appreciate this? Because I have been married. My husband is a storyboard artist. He worked at Pixar for many years.
Cool.
Right?
What do you work on?
All of them.
All of them. I
Everything
mean,
from Up until the red
up
panda
until,
one.
That's great.
No, but
that
he
one's great.
boarded. The ones he really boarded on were Inside Out and
Onward?
Onward, Turning Red. Like those were the.
Awesome.
But
Coco.
Coco, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Finding
so
Dory.
good.
He's boarded on.
That's really
Anyway, they're all
but,
good. Go on.
but I'm just saying that I've been with him for 11 years. I mean, and I visited Pixar 1,000 times, and he's never. And he studied animation as well. And no matter how many times people have asked him, I have asked him about it. How did he learn it? Can you? Never gotten an explanation.
He's very quiet. He'll
And-
just be like, I don't know.
Thoughtful and detailed as the little, like, 1 minute
He doesn't
snippet
listen to
you
our
just
show
gave.
either, so
Don't worry,
he
he doesn't
won't.
listen to the
Okay.
show. And honestly, I will tell him, by the way, award-winning Vincent King
it.
gave me a much better explanation of learning how, the process of drawing and cinema and art and all that in 1 minute. So please keep going because it's wonderful to finally learn about these
I can go
things
deep on
after
this stuff, man. This is 4 years of my
I
life.
mean-
They do little timing charts. They do like literally so they keep track of which drawing they're on. They will do a little tick mark and be like, this is drawing 1. Just like a little, like I said, like a chart on the side. Drawing 1 is going to be the hand back here reeling up for a punch. Drawing 5 is going to be the punch connecting. And I want the next drawing to be like very slow coming into the punch and then wham, he hits the punch, right? And they will do little tick marks to be like, okay, I want this drawing to be just after this one, but I want this one to have a big gap in between the action so it feels fast, right? Because literally like the motion
That's
is
amazing.
controlled by how many drawings you devote to something. So it's a great way. Yeah, totally. It's a great way to like learn how drawing can sort of tell motion on a page.
And I love that like conventional world's attitude towards these are kids movies.
Right.
Well,
Right.
also, I've had so many people be like, they don't just have like an animate button. That there's people, there's like
God.
weird hunched over men at tables flipping paper into the wee hours of the night. Like they don't do it in the U.S. anymore. A lot of it's done
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in Korea and
But-
outsourced. So and you can kind of tell sometimes, to be honest. Like there's a difference between having the animators in house and really like consciously making all the choices, or having someone do sort of the like key
The
keyframe drawing.
Bluth era, right? Like
Oh, Bluth is solid. Bluth is in.
yeah, that's
in
what I'm
the
talking
US.
about. The hunched over, like you
Yeah.
know, Bluth is
The warehouses in LA full of
So
depressed
what? Is there a difference between storyboarding and the illustrations that you do
Yeah.
for?
Oh,
so-
okay. And,
yeah,
I can go off on this too.
I want to understand that.
So storyboarding is really designing it for the moving image, right? You're going to put the drawings on the screen, so you don't change aspect ratio too much. You need
Right.
to really build in. You need a lot of drawings if you're going to hold on something. Like,
so you do
that's-
if you're doing it 16 by 9, every frame is 16 by 9.
Yeah,
You're not doing like a long panel.
Well,
and-
okay, so the only time, and sorry, I don't know how deep in you want to go. on
Keep
this, but,
going.
Like, if
We're
you
having-
want, the only time you would ever do a longer one is if you're designing a pan or something. So if you're like, okay, we're going to start on this guy and then we're going to pan down and show this building, you would literally just do a really long drawing. And that goes back to like way back in the day when they would have to do a giant, tall background illustration because they're going to pan down it.
Oh, wow.
So like you can see on the page,
Cool.
you're gonna have to make this kind of art. You're gonna have to do a weird diagonal thing because we're gonna pan diagonally through the alleyway. Like anyway, it's an
I understand.
insane
I
way to
understand
make
what
a
you're
film. But
Wow.
it doesn't look that pretty on the page. It's
Right.
like it's a working document
Uh-huh.
for like here's what you're gonna have to do for this production. On a comic page, like it's an art piece, right? So you have to simultaneously hold like how does each drawing work with the next drawing, but also and now these days movies are such a dominant for like cultural force that you think of everything in terms of movies, but actually comics have this whole other thing of like if you just do a giant spread, it just feels impactful. Like imagine if you could watch a movie and then the screen just tripled in size for one moment. It'd be
Wow.
crazy. I mean, you can do that in comics all the time. So
maybe they
that-
should work on that instead of more 3D,
that, well,
right? Like,
you kind of do that in 3D. You can have like whoa,
Yeah,
stuff come
I
out.
guess
of you, right?
so, but that
it's a
sounds
cheap thrill.
cooler.
But it would be a cheap thrill to like have a hydraulic screen that could grow bigger. But in comics, you can do it. It's a ton of fun.
it's just
It's just this. I mean, I don't know what we're talking about here, but yeah. There's just no way to
love
do it. It's a different medium.
I love your excitement and your joy, the way that you describe it and the way that you talk about it. And it's also very educational for us.
Yeah.
Learning
Now-
a lot.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So
for nerds.
We've talked about the incredible stuff you're making. Chris, if you could write for a property or take over a property, you don't have to do it according to its original format. But like if there was a character you could write or a sequel you could write or a rewrite of a film, what would you do?
Existing? Anything?
Yeah,
that's
like
Anything.
a
We
rewrite.
know
That's
what
a
Shies
sequel?
would be. Shies would be
What would
it's
it-
everyone knows.
The Last Jedi.
The Last.
She would rewrite The Last Jedi and remake that, so we know.
He's just not letting me talk further about it.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. Yeah,
That would be
that's
fun.
interesting. What's yours?
I don't know if I like anything that much. I'm trying to think.
Well,
What
no,
would-
but
what would
I
I
think about like for me, Buckaroo Banzai. Do you remember the Buckaroo Banzai across
You
the
mentioned
eighth
this
dimension?
last year.
Did I?
Actually,
That's
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
that I brought it up. You guys bring out the Buckaroo Banzai in me.
That's a compliment.
But like I would,
You want that
You
crime
want-
syndicate,
you
huh?
want that.
Oh yeah,
It's been a whole-
did I
it's been
say this
itching at
exact
you.
thing last
No,
year?
that's the thing I know about Buckaroo Banzai
yeah.
is the
I
eternal
lo-
promise of more Buckaroo Banzai that never came to be.
Oddly enough, my uncle has been writing through COVID a sequel to Casablanca.
Oh,
Now, this
now
is-
there is one right called
Isn't there?
Brazzaville, right?
Right. Well, there's a few little weird things out there, but that's just been a kind of hysterical.
Is it like a
view.
buddy?
Oh, wait,
is it a buddy
No,
comedy?
It's
of the two of them?
he has a great concept.
I-
I can't blow it, I mean,
Don't- yeah.
he's a lawyer. He'll get me. But as far as like something topical that was in my mind as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, well, there's Jim's Casablanca sequel
you
that
go.
I've been consulting on. But
You are doing.
that's not quite.
I do have an answer, and it's a hot take.
I love a hot take. Hot takes are the best takes.
If I could take over, something that already exists and remake it, it would be the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's. Because I love that book. That is one of my favorite books. And I love Audrey Hepburn. This is not about Audrey Hepburn. But that movie and that book are not the same thing. And it not only does not do justice to the book, it ruins the things that are incredible, that make that book
Interesting.
so fascinating, that make her character so multidimensional and interesting and gritty and sad, and the movie just Hollywoodizes it in the worst ways possible. And so I would, that's the one I would, but I would want to like redo it with her, because I don't, or redo it and it really is Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's not that movie that everyone sees. Yeah.
I thought I would do Baywatch Nights season 3.
He might have mentioned this last year.
I did.
He's been talking about this one a while.
I would do. It's when Hasselhoff is now no longer. Mitch is doing
Yeah.
some kind of nonsense detective agency, and then in the second season it became an occult detective agency. You got to do more.
You got to do UFOs in the last
you would
one.
you would just need to really. It would have to just Mitch running on the beach. Just
All right.
And
I would like to.
Yeah.
see
I would-
that.
Vincent's
I-
memory
I-
for
I
this
just kinda-
conversation we had.
Did we
is-
do that? Yeah, this has been on play for a while.
All right.
Chris Hunt and I were talking about this years ago. Maybe
Okay.
that? Maybe
And what about you,
think
Sam?
it's a
Where
great-
would you want to
I'll
play?
let him. He's got to get Baywatch Nights out of his system.
that? No, I do need to get rid of that. It's a terrible idea.
I've got a pet project. I want to make a knockoff Spider-Man called Spider Teenager. And because that's the eternal problem with Spider-Man, right? Is that he cannot grow up. Like
Right.
they tried to marry him off, and then it just didn't take.
Well, I will say you don't think him married to Mary Jane? Like to me, that's the Spider-Man, the definitive Spider-Man era for me is him
And they
married to-
ruined it, right? Because they were just like, but he's gotta be a teenager. And there's like,
Oh, they ruined it.
There's-
How'd they ruin it?
well, with the Brand New Day, the
Yeah,
whole.
Oh, I
sold
didn't go that far.
He sold his marriage to the devil to keep his super old aunt alive. Yeah. Oh, you don't
What?
know, dude. That happened. That happened.
That happened
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the
What?
actual Spider-Man
the-
continuity.
Yeah,
Devil?
like a
Oof.
crime, and,
Yeah.
and it's like the sales
Woof.
have never recovered. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it was it was a bit of a retcon.
So that's kind of like at the end of No Way Home.
right.
yeah,
They did
it's
a
actually-
really good version of it. They totally
Yeah.
salvaged the whole idea.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not. I thought
You
no,
didn't- you didn't
I
dig
thought
it?
okay. We'll get into this.
We can-
Aside.
Yeah.
I think No Way Home was enjoyable, but I think it completely undercut the MCU's Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think it left us with not much.
Remains to be seen.
Okay.
I go with that. Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed that film, man. There were enough beats for just about anybody who's ever seen a Spider-Man film.
Wait, okay, so here's my pitch to you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Sequel to No Way Home, right? Spider teenager. Peter Parker's forgotten who he is. He thinks he's Spider teenager, but he's 40 years old. And he's walking around reciting Spider-Man continuity with like really earnest sincerity. And they're like, remember when you did this? And he's like, no, that must have been one of my clones. I have like too many to keep track of. And they're like, weren't you married? And he's like, yeah, but I sold my marriage to the devil. And he just has no clue what's going on. He's like, oh man, I think my aunt, who may or may not still be alive, was married to an octopus man. And he's just rattling it off.
She marries Doc Ock at some point, or she has a relationship with Doc Ock. Yeah,
it's wild. Comics are great. Comics are great.
He gives the best hugs.
But it felt so natural when they did that bit. Like I was like, yeah, of course, Doc Ock and Aunt May.
I ship it.
I ship that. Yeah.
Would you like some tea, May?
Yeah.
And then later, that same octopus man stole my body, and it was crazy. And he's just like telling this to people on the street, and like not even swinging around. And then they're like, dude, are you okay? Like, do you need a ride?
You think that's the sequel? He's just hanging from a light pole. A light pole is bound.
And his webbing has changed. It comes out of the butt, like anatomically correct. And if he gets startled, he just shits himself.
And we're done.
An anatomically correct Spider teenager.
And we
This is
recast
Vincent
Spider-Man.
King's-
It's Danny DeVito now.
Ringo Award winner Vincent
King's-
Danny DeVito is
what is it? The
Spider
self-tape?
teenager.
When you apply an act, it's his self-tape
It's his self-tape,
application
yes.
to Marvel Studios.
Dear Marvel, Spider teenager from the butt and
Ringo Award.
So
I gotta cash in my chips. I gotta cash them in.
So you all don't. I mean, superheroes are not at the core. You write comics, but everyone thinks they're superheroes. You don't write superheroes. Is there a reason why superhero, at least in the books that we've seen, like
They don't sell.
Interesting, really?
You can't pitch a new superhero easily because
it's a little rough.
it's like trying to start a new religion. You're like, have you heard about Spider Teenager? And they're like, no, my Lord and Savior is already Superman or Batman. Like,
Yeah.
there's just, you can't
Got it.
replicate the history of these things.
Is-
You just can't.
is
That's
that-
my take anyway. I could be wrong.
Is
That's a great take.
that's okay? That's a really
good
important, but these like gritty, more almost like A24 style movie of comics because
we're doing
they're more
it with Dark Blues. It's
Right.
like it's kind of that, but it's also this.
it's like literary. It's a little more literary than
It's sly, yeah.
I think we've seen a lot of the same in the genre, right? You could tell it flexes and looks for new things. You could tell by manga and YA what that generation is going and gravitating towards finding as a story. We've seen a superhero team so many times. Would we work at Marvel or DC and get on a legacy project and flex some muscles on that? Oh my God, yes, please. Sure.
do an epic run.
Can
we are
play-
still nerds.
Yeah, can we play on your sandbox for a bit? Yeah, let's do crypto through time or something. Point is what I mean? Like
That's Superman's dog, not the currency.
Not the currency.
I made that mistake. I came out was like, I'm a big
Yeah.
crypto guy, and he's
Right.
wearing a crypto the
Wait, that
Superdog
did-
T-shirt.
that
But I
did
was
happen.
like, NFTs?
Yeah, that happened earlier.
That's just the world we live
It was
in.
great. But that said, it's hard to go up to an editor, a company, and be like, "Here's our superhero pitch." It's da 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 da.
And it'll take 20 years to tell the whole story. Like, they just don't trust you
Yeah,
that
but
much.
also whoever you're talking to has also read so many superhero comics that they're like, okay, we're doing one of these. And unless it's exceptional, unless you've got like an
yeah,
angle.
we
on
will
it.
be proven wrong on this, but it's
Maybe.
just tricky.
Well, they're-
Haven't
they're-
many.
I'll just say that it's one of those things that being out here pitching at places, it's not really something that anyone's really after that I see. I mean, you could see what all the indie publishers and second tier publishers and whatnot are putting out. You don't really have how many big superhero comics that aren't Marvel or DC that you know about just from the last year.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Also, I love comics as a medium. I think superheroes people think of comics as a genre that is superheroes.
Sure.
And I live in Europe now, and they do all kinds of comics.
Right.
They do
Oh, yeah.
like
I mean-
bio comics. I have a friend working on a Patti Smith book. You know, like you
Yeah.
can do anything with them. It's a
Well, I mean,
beautiful
and
medium.
Chris has written 2
Right, there you go.
biographies: The Grateful Dead
It's dope. He's found
and
his way into that.
Elvis at Z2 Comics.
Soon to do more. But
Yes.
And I mean, Belgium, they have Tintin,
Right.
which, slightly racist special agent traveling around the world.
Don't read the one where he goes to the Congo.
Yeah, exactly. That one, no, thank you.
no.
That one is not good. And then there's and Asterix and Obelix. You know those guys?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just naming all because we grew up in Montreal, so all sorts
solid.
of like weird French stuff like landed in
you
our
should
world.
read Thorgal.
Thorgal.
So that's a weird. Imagine if Superman crash landed in Viking times and became like the most badass Viking of them all. And he doesn't fly or anything. He's just a super strong Viking dude. But they work in all these weird. There's like a forest he goes into that is like time displaced, so the seasons keep changing. It's like a weird sci-fi fairy tale. It's
All
great.
right.
Is it French?
Yeah, originally.
Do I have to read it in French?
No, you can find it in
Kids
English.
keep-
I have a hard
Well-
enough time reading in English.
We did grow
well,
up.
that I can't help you with.
You should be able to read it in French.
That said, though, just to go back, I think the superhero corner of comics is what does bring kids in on a big level too, and for that, it's your entry point. Right?
Although there's a lot more kids reading manga, and manga's like
That's
it
true.
has
The-
superpowers,
the-
but it's not quite superheroes.
The young
Right.
people we have interviewed and talked to here, almost all have a very deep connection to manga and anime.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And they're obviously your classic superhero stuff, but especially the edgier teenagers, all are and they have a deep personal connection to anime and manga, which I think is really interesting. It's not something that was ever for me, but I love that it's bringing people in. It's very cool.
I think there's a huge generation of comic readers coming up because of manga, and like you're foolish if you don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Figure out what-
agreed.
you know.
Totally.
That's really cool. All right.
Time Dog is for the children.
All right, we're gonna wrap up soon.
Yeah.
We have to though. We can't leave the show without getting
We gotta
what we
do this.
call shout outs and recs, which are, shout outs, recommendations, movies, television, things you're watching.
Dude, the new Hellraiser is awesome.
Really?
Yeah, man.
I'm
Yeah, I've said-
afraid
I
of
haven't-
looking at the box of
Not
the first
a
one.
chance.
I-
I don't care how many awards you have won. I am not taking that
We
recommendation.
have,
You're dead
we have
wrong.
residual
You're
90
No,
days.
it's not that I
Fear
think
of
that
You
it.
you're
just don't like
wrong.
horror, that's fine.
No, I believe
Is
you.
it just
I believe
all the
you.
torturing that movie is?
I feel like it's kind of a big aesthetic leap, sort of like Geiger doing Alien. The old Cenobites were like weird BDSM dudes from outer space.
Yeah.
And these ones, whoever did, I don't know who the concept artist was, but he made it look like they'd been flayed as if they were tailored into weird high fashion monsters. And it's just a creepy, weird, bad acid trip aesthetic that I just found super interesting.
Okay.
Now the film does become like, oh, look at all these 20-something-year-olds who are all gonna get murdered.
Get
in
like their
some way.
skin ripped off by ear piercing.
You gotta
stuff
do
like
it.
that.
But I will say it doesn't like linger on the torture as much as you might be afraid of.
Okay.
It's still
Chris
about
looks
BDSM.
nervous.
No,
The way
no,
I'm
we
nervous.
were talking about this on the way here. He was talking a little
I'm
bit
so
about it.
hooked
and
on
was
this.
like- I was
I've
like,
never
Great.
seen the original Hellraiser, but this
He
is
won
awesome.
me. He won me over on the description, but it's not something I would
Did
have put on.
you see Prey, the new
I
Predator?
haven't yet. No.
It's very cool.
Right on.
Well,
Yeah.
That
we,
saved
we
that
do
franchise.
have listeners and our co-host Lily that love horror.
Cool.
So
Watch
it
that.
is a welcome recommendation. I will not be watching
That's
it,
fine.
but it
Totally
is
chill.
very welcome.
I don't
I-
normally watch horror either, but
I am-
this one
But
got me.
That's good. Okay.
I am drunk on Andor. I think Andor is the best.
Becky and I are
I-
drunk, but we passed out.
We've
We've
just
been
been
watching it the
falling
last few
asleep.
nights. When does it get
When does
interesting?
it get?
I don't know where you are.
We
The
finished the
fourth
fourth
episode.
episode.
There's a lot of
So he's met
riding
the
public
team.
transportation.
Yeah, it's.
Dude, I love
it's-
Met the
public
team. Is it
transportation.
going to pick up?
I'm
I
gonna
am in
say
Europe.
I enjoyed the first three that you guys are about.
I didn't.
It's okay.
It wasn't
it.
bad. Diego
I
was
enjoyed
awesome.
it. I'm just so
It's-
tired, and there's so much travel shots.
All right.
So many
Well,
troubles.
Skarsgård's character.
Skarsgård's
Great.
character
Is-
changed the dynamic.
He is my favorite Star Wars character now
Oh,
ever.
wow.
I just
Okay.
something about this guy and when I don't know. People might not have seen it. Everything about his.
So he's
story-
not like a 2-episode character.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh my!
I thought they
he-
rented him for like 2 episodes, and I just assumed he was a scientist with a tesseract because that's all they do is like have him play a Swedish
that's
scientist.
Really good. That's really good. No, everything is that guy. He is like, I'm drunk on that character.
I'm
I
gonna
can't
finish
explain
watching it.
I can't explain it. Every time he's on the screen, I go back and I watch the scene again. Oh my God, he's
Their meeting in the room with the weird traps falling.
That was interesting.
It was a great scene.
That was really interesting.
So if you're
And-
telling me that is part of the engine of the show, I'm more interested.
Tell me what you think when you go a little further.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I've been a little drunk. The last episode that came out, we can't do that. People might be
No?
listening.
Okay.
So it's good. That's my little thing.
We are going to finish watching.
As far as comics, I just burned through Human Target, DC's Human Target. That is it's great. Yeah,
Like the old
yeah.
type?
It's like reading like a 1955 Hitchcock movie. It's so good. It's colored so well. It's
amazing.
great. It's a great. Yeah, it's a Black Label book. It's really as far as superhero stuff. That's awesome. Like that's a great way to do that.
That's really cool. As far as comics go, I actually read a friend who was at the Angoulême residency's book called Radical, where she embedded with a newly elected New York congresswoman who was sort of like the tip of the spear of the tenants' rights movement in New York. It's like 500 pages that you just whiz right through it of like very hopeful, optimistic politics.
Okay.
Like local
Hopeful
politics.
optimism. All right,
So-
that's cool.
And it was like she was following the period right before Andrew Cuomo exploded. So he's like this dark Darth Vader figure in the background of the whole book, where like you never actually see him,
Oh,
but
that's
he's like trying to blow up their movement the whole time.
cool.
And then at the end, you're like, yeah, he's gonna get fucked. So it's not in the book, but you know how it ends.
and
An indie film called I Am Like You by Hike Kacharian. Caught that in New York recently about a special needs kid who befriends a wolf dog. And the director took like 9 months to film all these animals in like Nebraska. And there's a scene with a bear, a wolf, a kid. Like, I don't know how you film that. It was really interesting to see.
Cool, I'm
That was
keeping an eye
kind
out
of
for
neat.
that.
I don't know. It's a small release. I'm sure it'll stream somewhere at
Find
some
it.
point.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're good at finding stuff.
I've got a bunch of friends in Europe who had books come out, but they're all in French.
okay. What about movies? Do you not?
Movies.
Do you still?
Dude, I watched another film by the director of Hellraiser called The Night House. Get this. It's a woman whose husband commits suicide, but he was an architect and he built the house they both live in. And she won't leave the house because she's grieving her husband. But the house is kind of haunted. And like he designed it to be a creepy, haunted puzzle box of satanic energy, and she's trapped in it.
He did this to his wife?
I mean, I don't know, man. You gotta watch the movie.
I do tell my wife if I die first, which is inevitable, that I will haunt her.
Okay.
So
Did you build the house to be a giant?
no.
but
My
the
house is really built for like watching TV and recording music. So
Okay, I'll do one more weird horror thing for Halloween.
All right.
The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
oh, that's like the old school Abominable Dr.
Yeah,
Phibes.
yeah.
That's
Sure.
very
The
cool.
70s Vincent Price.
Vincent Price, yeah,
Yeah,
fun.
That's dope.
one of the best
You've seen that?
voices
That's great.
ever.
I've never been in a group where everybody had seen it. That's dope, man.
All
That's a
right,
great movie.
let's say
You
a
guys,
huge
you
thank-
guys are great. This is so much fun.
I love talking to you guys. Let's give a huge thank you to Chris Miskiewicz and Ringo Award winning.
Already sick of it.
This is a big deal. Soak it up. Enjoy
Okay,
it.
thank
Vincent
you. Thank you very
Kings.
much.
Yeah.
And you're such an incredible team. We love your work. We love hanging out with you all. This is
Thank you for
more than
coming.
enough reason to be back in Baltimore at Comic-Con, and we had a great time anyway.
Yep.
Thank you for spending time with us. Oh, wait. Tell us where people can follow you.
Instagram, Vincent.Kings. And please back my Time Dog crowdfunding campaign on Zoop.
And those who are listening, we will post all the stuff
Yeah.
for the crowdfunding campaign, so you will know.
Chris Miskiewicz. Somehow spell that on Instagram, and other
like-
social media platforms. Yeah, things
All right.
like that.
Well, thank you guys for being a
Yeah.
part of the
Thank you.
family.
If you're around, go pick up This Is Where You. Yeah, that'll be the sequel. This Is Where You Fall.
Whoa.
Ooh,
Whoa.
spooky. Slip of the tongue. you said?
It's like a choose your own adventure.
You could try that. Go pick up This Is Where We Fall. It's on Z2's site. It has.
He also did Elvis, the graphic
Oh,
novel. He
for-
also did
Grateful
Grateful Dead
Dead, yeah.
Origin.
Yeah, those guys. But
Thomas Alsop.
pick up the Ringo Award
Yeah, you're right. Like
winning series.
This is where
This is
That's
where we
right.
fall by me and this guy over here. man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
you.
us on.
Pleasure.
You can follow all the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Friday Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram. You can sign up for our newsletter at FridayNightMoviePod.com. Our theme music is by What Does It Eat? Thanks for listening.